Entrenched versus Centaura. I've decided to review them because they are similar games, but I'll be comparing them based on gameplay and features, among other things, to find out which is the better game. First is atmosphere. Centura has voice lines depicting agony and generally makes you feel like it's a war. Compared to Centaura, Entrenched doesn't feel as warlike, but the soundtrack does help increase the tension. In the end, Centaura does take the win for atmosphere, because you really feel like it's war. You can see in the footage below that the weapons in first person feels better in Centaura. However, they do play similarly in third person. Projectiles, meaning the bullets, are also smoother in Centaura, and the flamethrower does feel better in Centaura as well. In Entrenched, it doesn't feel as good. It like clips through walls and stuff, and it doesn't feel like a real flamethrower. Centaura has a point-based system where you can use different classes by purchase with set points. In Entrenched, you can use any class you want. However, they all come with their strengths and weaknesses, which is true for Centaura as well. A huge difference between Centaura and Entrenched is that in Entrenched, you can impact the environment with digging and building, which means you cannot build this beautiful encampment in Centaura. Next is map design. Entrenched has the better and more numerous maps, but that's probably because Centaura is newer, and Entrenched maps feel like you have an end goal that is far away. Entrenched feels more expansive, whereas some Centaura maps are more confined to a football field-sized map. So I prefer the bigger maps. So which game is more fun? Both games have their uniqueness. If you like building and creating your own fortress and able to work independently from your team, then you will probably prefer Entrenched. If you just want to feel like you are in a war, then Centaura would probably be better suited for you. A huge difference between both games is how big of an impact you are to the team. For my playtime within both games, winning for Centaura heavily relies on whether your team is good, but with Entrenched, you can most definitely carry your team to victory. This next section is more or less about what I don't like about each game. There's not much to not like about Entrenched. My only gripes with it are when people decide to build tunnels and the spawn points for certain teams on certain maps. What I'm talking about is, in this footage, they spawned super close to the objective, whereas my team had more of a walking distance to it. And I just personally don't like that. And I also don't like the minimal amount of updates for the game. It's like a good update is once every 8 months. As for Centaura, the game could do with less artillery and no AI on the armored cars. The first few games, the artillery is like, whoa, this is kinda cool, but then they get super annoying and it's super off-putting to continue playing when you just die to artillery, or some guy spamming the mortar class on a specific spot. The AI armored cars is also very frustrating because they turn super quickly and it's borderline aimbot, even if you peek for just a second. I never really thought Roblox had a place for AI NPCs because they're always stupid as hell. I think Centaura would be better if they severely decreased the amount of artillery, removed the mortar class or nerfed it to a few shots, and maybe added a building mechanic like Entrenched and had players able to control the armored car instead of the robot. So currently I do enjoy Entrenched more because if I die, I know it's to another player and I got outplayed. But if it's Centaura, then it's like I lose 50% to a player and 50% to some AI artillery or a car. In the end, I think you should play whatever you like best. Both games are good in their own right.